Scott Pellegrom, ladies and gentlemen. Scott, one of the most creative drummers I've ever met. Look at that. Welcome, everyone. We're here for a really cool lesson, obviously, with Scott. And we have some other guests with us today. This is in the middle of one of our VIP weeks. And when we do our VIP weeks, we always allow the members to come and join us for the live lessons. So right away, we have Lisa right here. We have in the middle, we have Tuna. And then we have Haymaker, Brian Haymaker. How you guys doing over there?
Doing great.
Great.
Yeah, loving it.
What do you think of that solo?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Very creative. Inspiring.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
And Scott, how you doing, man?
I can't complain. I've been here all week for the VIP and filming courses and doing some live lessons, and it's a drummer's dream to be here. I mean, the studio, the people, the facility, the campers, the VIPers. It's just been an amazing week, super inspiring. Again, it goes to show that the drummers are a tribe, we're a family, and we all just get along. It's like we've known each other.
Yeah.
It's been a really positive, emotional, inspiring week. I think everyone is just high out of their minds when it comes to drumming. We have so much happening. So I'm fantastic. I'm thankful to be here.
Well, you're always welcome here, man. I'm glad you're here, and you bring something to the table that I don't see a lot of drummers do. So I'm honored to have you on Drumeo. And the whole lesson today is making your beats musical, but in a different way. It's not going to be, okay, well, you know, here's a beat, play this beat, and it'll be musical. This is almost like a creativity kind of lesson. As you can see, before we did this lesson, we went to Walmart, we went to the pet section, and we got a bunch of dog toys. Then we went upstairs to our kitchen, we got a bunch of whisks and pots and pans and all that kind of stuff. So Scott will explain all that in a little bit. But I do want to thank Aquarian Heads for helping bring you here and sending us all the heads that we need. You guys are awesome over at Aquarian, you guys. If you haven't checked out Aquarian Heads, go check them out. Same with Dream Cymbals, too. They've been awesome. Sent us everything that Scott needs, and the cymbals sound really cool. So thank you so much for you two for helping bring them out. Also, if you guys don't know Scott Pellegrom yet, or you haven't seen a lot of Scott, you've got to check him out online. His big thing that he wants to push, and I agree with this 100%, is his Instagram. Follow him at Instagram, at Scott Pellegrom. He posts a ton of really cool clips, and they're video clips that are very creative. Like he posted one a little while ago of a rubber chicken and a hi-hat, and it had just a ton of plays, and it was very, very cool. So make sure you go and follow him at Instagram and just check him out online. He's in a bunch of projects. He does clinic work. He's over at the Grand Rapids area.
Yep.
But you're always busy doing something.
Always busy. Always doing something.
Last thing I'll say before I give it to you is if you guys are watching this and you're not a Drumeo Edge member yet, or you've never seen Drumeo, check us out. Go to drumeo.com. We have a ton of lessons like this. We have a very cool community of drummers that are just all trying to become better. So drumeo.com, if you want a free 30-day trial, you can go to drumeo.com/trial. Give it a try. Let us know what you think. And I'd love to see you online. I think that's all I have to say, man. I'm looking forward to your lesson on making beats musical.
Let's see how this goes.
See how it goes,
right?
man. Yeah.
This is actually something I've never really taught before, especially like live or online. So I'm really excited to be able to approach this with my good friends over here and my good friend over here. There's so many different ways you can approach playing grooves. Everyone always talks about, you know, a groove player or a chop player. This guy plays too much, or this person plays not enough. And what I like to do is kind of combine the beauty of the rudiments and the dynamics and the textures and all that stuff to create an inspiring groove, or hopefully an inspiring groove. And something that catches me, like if you listen to a Phil Collins tune, there's always like that doom 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 doom. You know, big Tom Phil, but everything else is grooving really hard. And like in this day and age with like pop music and electronic music, hip hop, rap, a lot of different types of music use loops, they use layers and textures. And for me, I do a lot of studio work back in Michigan, and I'm always asked to create like something different. Not wild, not, you know, 11/16 or play as fast as you can, you know, paradiddles at 300 BPM. It's always, how can we make a basic groove sound kind of hip or unique? And for me, you know, it might start with playing just a kick, snare, hat type of groove, and we lay that down. And then I say, you know what, that groove really works for the chorus, so let's keep it. But on top of the chorus, let's go ahead and add a ride cymbal at eighth notes, just to kind of elevate it and to change the texture a little bit. But we want to add in some hand claps, Maybe I'll double the bass drum by hitting my chest in kind of like a wide open reverby room. And then maybe we'll use a bunch of cans to smack on 2 and 4 for the chorus, right? So it's kind of like being a live drummer, being a live drum machine, and starting to create these new elements and textures to kind of enhance the groove and make it something really unique. And when I'm at home, because I'm kind of at this point right now where I'm not so excited about playing chops or playing fast, I'm more excited about the sounds that I can get. And I kind of have this regiment that when I'm at home, after I wake up in the morning and I go walk my dog and I drink my coffee, I just go into the kitchen, I'll go into the bathroom, I'll go into like the tool shed, and I just start pulling out stuff. Because I think a lot of us can contest to this. When you started drumming, you didn't start right away on a drum kit. You started on pots and pans, cookie tins, baking sheets, wooden spoons, the floor, the tables, cardboard boxes, cereal boxes, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's like usually most people, even when you might be a little kid and you're on your little baby seat and you're smacking the table. That's how we started. That's how a lot of us started. And I think it's important to kind of remember those roots. And those are exciting roots, because the moment we start playing the drum kit, we forget about the cookie tins, we forget about the air drumming, and we move right to the drum kit, and then we start thinking paradiddles, and if we're swinging or doing a bossa and things like that. And I've kind of found this place in the past like 4 or 5 years where I've gotten a kick out of using things that aren't necessarily sold as drums or cymbals or a percussive thing. And my dog, the love of my life, Pegasus, he has a ton of dog toys. And whenever I'm practicing at home, he'll run up with his rubber chicken and start balking it like he's jamming with me. And I remember one day he came up and he was playing, and I'm like, that sounds really cool, you know? Like he was over it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. And he left or something to go bark at a cat, so I grabbed it and I'm like, I wonder if it works if I put it in the hi-hat. And I put it in the hi-hat, and all of a sudden I started getting this, squeaky noise. And I started thinking, man, it kind of reminds me of like a hip-hop groove or something you might hear over and over. Like sometimes you hear sirens or like the blinking of a blinker, from your car, and you hear like a... I started thinking, wow, that's a really cool element to add to drumming, because you're still playing the kit, but now you're starting to put things in your hi-hat, or, you could probably duct tape this to your bass drum and kick the pig. I started thinking about that way, and like having things that I could drop on the drums or drop on the floor to create this new texture, because, like right now, like a lot of people are really inspired by playing groupings of 5s or groupings of 7s, and people are really hip to the producer Jay Dilla and all the stuff that he has done. And then you have like this great producer named Stimming, who really brings everything together from the percussive standpoint, but things kind of falling out of place and coming back in, hearing like kind of metric modulations overlapping, right? And that's a lot of stuff that we can do here on the drums. Like they always say, like if you have a drummer, you have a party. And I find it to be true, because you can come in and just kick a beat and it sounds pretty good. But what if we can sneak in just another texture? And like when we got this pig, I remember we were checking out, we're like, wow, that sounds cool. And then we went, oh, that's great, So what could we do with that? Right? You could give it a little bit of like a go-go type thing that's happening through there. So this started to challenge me in a different way. So I wasn't just thinking about playing beats or playing rudiments or, how fast can I be or how quiet can I be. I started thinking like, how can I start creating grooves that sound like they're a loop or sound like they have a hook to them. So if someone heard it, they might say, oh, that's Scotty, or that's so-and-so artist. I know that groove. It's a way to kind of stand out. And 2, just for practicing and for writing purposes, it's a really fun way to play.
Yeah.
It's relaxed. Like there's nothing nothing I love more than pulling out a baking sheet and putting it on the snare, and then pulling out my mixer and playing it on the hi-hat and putting a massager on the snare drum, and now I have a dubstep wobble sound. It's like, it's amazing because we're in this world where there's so much music that you can listen to, and you can jump on any streaming site and just discover, right? But some of the biggest things now is just coming back to the beats, the grooves, the sounds, the wobbles, the grittiness, the industrial thing, the dubstep thing. And we can do that here. You know, we can get wobbles from a massager, or from wobbling by yelling into a snare drum, or by licking our finger and getting our drums to bark and moan and all this stuff. So now it's like a whole different world. So maybe if you're not a chop player, or you're not really inspired to do that, you can really start jumping into this direction, because you can use your hands, your fists, your fingers, a squeaky toy, a baking sheet, you name it. You could put an entire bed sheet over the kit and get this really dry sound. And I just found it's just been amazing to start exploring this type of stuff, because when you get in the studio and someone has an idea, instead of thinking we're going to do all these plugins and we're just going to edit everything, you can say, no, I think I know how to make it sound like a sampled drum or an electronic drum. So for me, this is a really fun thing to do, and it's like it's a whole new world for me now. Like I keep saying over, it's not just beats, it's not just rudiments or chops or a solo thing. It's like actually composing from the drum kit to make something that people might dance to.
Love that idea.
And I think that's something that we should dive into even more, because we're always the butt of a lot of jokes, you know, like that we're not musicians and all this type of stuff, but we really are. You know, we drive the band. We set the time, we create the feel, we create the dynamics, we support the artist, we bring the music up, we bring it down, we start the songs, we end the songs. If we don't hit the hit on the break, people turn around and look at you like, what were you doing? So it's like, if we already have that amount of responsibility, why aren't we writing? Why aren't we composing from a percussive standpoint? And I think it's time for us to start doing that. And, you know, maybe you use a little Princess Bell, right? But it has a cool thing. Like, when we picked it up, we started thinking, man, that just sounds good right there, you know? But then we thought, oh man, it also moves, and you can mute the tone. Right?
Very cool, yeah.
And it makes you start thinking differently. Like I've mentioned in some of the other lessons about how brushes make me think, and circles and figure eights and triangles and sweeping on and off, and it's all these different motions. But man, playing with a squeaky toy is not something that's in the books.
Right.
Using a bell or using something like a whisk where you have we're talking about a lot of the dirty beats and the staggered beats and stuff phrased off of fives and all that. Like, So
cool, man.
it's where I started thinking a bit differently about using kind of where I started as a drummer, the cardboard boxes for overdubs with brushes and bringing in the baking sheets to create a really cool electronic clap sound. So what I started doing was basically thinking of just like a regular groove, right? And in place where I would normally want to put, you know, let's say I'm like, started thinking about, instead of playing the fill on the top, I could do it on a squeaky toy or a baking sheet, or I could have a blender over here and hit it, right? And I know this, we're talking a lot about these squeaky toys. They're just so much fun and they sound so cool, and people really get a rise out of them. And another thing you can do though is, let's say we take all this stuff away and we try to create the theme without a squeaky toy or without a sample, but we want to keep some type of a hook. So we know, every 4 bars or every 8 bars, or maybe every bar, there's always this one thing that happens. Let's say we're thinking kind of like a dance tune, and we're like, just by adding those accents on the hats, there's already a little bit of extra sauce there, right? Because if I just came in, works. But just giving that up, you can think, second, right there, I think that would be a clever loop.
Big time, yeah.
So you could write a nice hook over top of that, a cool bass line, and it gives you that foundation. Again, the whole process about this is so we can be musical, but also be a musician, and to be a composer, to be an arranger, to be a musical director, a producer, I think a lot of us get discouraged because some of us know theory, some of us don't, and we think, man, I don't play piano or I don't sing, so I probably should just play drums and just be in the back.
It does. And be the supporting role. And I think for me, when I, the bands that I've been in, I've always relied on the other musicians to create the hook. And then I would just support with some rhythm behind it, some time. And I think that's what a lot of drummers feel like. That's their role, is to create time and to create rhythm and to make sure you're keeping the bus on the right track. But you're now finding that hook within your own beat. And that's what I think is cool. Yeah,
that is a cool thing. And this is what brings it to the table, because this will start, not necessarily you're going to start getting credits on your records and albums, but you can say, hey, I have this idea. Let's go back to that groove that we're doing. And we're like, you can say, okay, you hear that beat? It's like, right? So you're saying, okay, I hear that should be there, and I hear a so you could be at a rehearsal, or you could be in the studio and start singing these ideas. People go, oh yeah, I think I have an idea, Now you're collaborating, and the foundation of this new song is coming from your beats, right?
Yeah.
And adding that little hook. And I've done a few things where hitting like on the or the and a 4 on a 10-inch tom or whatever it is, it just sounds really unique.
Yeah.
And I'm not going like, it's none of that. It's more of like, for me, when I'm at home and I try to lock into something like that, I start singing over top of it, a bass line, something that could be a melody. I might try poorly to rap or come up with lyrics or mumble or scat what might be lyrics.
Yeah.
And that's how you can start writing from the drummer's position and come up with these really, really cool beats or something fun and unique and create a hook. And now you're on your way to being a producer, right? So now you're not just a freelance guy or just a drummer, you know, in the back playing. Now you're starting to take role, and you could start writing your own music, coming up with your own beats, your own samples, your own loops, you know? And that's kind of the way things are moving. And I think that's a really exciting way to think about this type of stuff.
So how do you start? How do you start as a drummer who can play a couple great solid beats? You know, you're in a band, you're already playing songs with other musicians, but how do you start creating more hooks within your own grooves?
Well, you might think, like, let's see if anyone knows this. And I'm going to call this a hook because typically if you play this pattern, and we're digging back, we're going to the 90s right now.
Okay.
We're thinking a little poppy, like R&B/rap, but singers. You know, that girl is poison, right?
Totally.
Right there, that's a hook. You know that, you know, just like if someone starts like Hot for Teacher, you know, which is kind of like it's a Billy Cobham thing, but it's also a Van Halen type thing, and you hear, you know what song that's going to be. You think of, right?
Yeah.
So right there, that's the ideas of some of those hooks. Just, it might be something that starts the song. It might be something that plays through the entire song that way until maybe the chorus. So you have to start listening to those players. Like the Beatles did a good job with that. I feel like Led Zeppelin has some good hooks. Van Halen definitely did. Think of Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah.
That song, like the Ride to Tom thing is so epic. I can't even really think of any really popular tune that has that in there. And that, to me, is a drum hook.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going, you know, like that's our hook. It's like, and you know that.
Yeah.
You know, you could go without anything else, without the epic guitar intro and all that. You could play that part, and I bet you 9 times out of 10, people would be like, that's Don't Stop Believing by Journey, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's a place that you want to start, is just by listening. When you're listening to the radio, one of my favorite things to do is to actually, I do listen to the radio, although I'm guilty. I listen to a lot of NPR, a lot of talk radio. It's one of my favorite things. But to keep myself fresh on what's going on, kind of in the pop world, the mainstream stuff, I just go through the stations and I'll listen to stuff. And sometimes I go rapid fire, because you can get the idea of the songs now, sometimes within seconds.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, and you can hear. What am I going to hear? Right? So first you want to kind of open your eyes and your ears to this type of stuff. What might be a hook? What could be really catchy? What does maybe have a little bit of a melody, or what has a sound that might be effective, that people won't forget? And it might not have to be every single measure, or, you know, like, well, maybe that works. All right, I'm going to play that same groove, but on the ride cymbal. That's not bad, but let's see what's more memorable. Right?
Yeah.
When you hear that, it kind of sticks out.
Yeah.
It's definitely different, right? Which we think sometimes can be very difficult in this day and age. But really, you just have to look at something from a different angle, or have your ears kind of turn around just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you'll have something really unique. Like, I remember hearing a recording, I think it's like Questlove with D'Angelo, and to me it sounds like the ride cymbal is on the floor tom that's on top of a towel. And this has this real super dry metallic sound. And this is like, tick, tick, clap, tick, tick, tick. And immediately I'm like, I will never forget this song. For me, from the drummer's perspective, right?
That was a hook.
That was the hook.
Yeah.
That was the hook, was just that sound. It doesn't mean you have to be like, what if we did this? You know, what if we took it back and we want to do something funky and we're like, let's think, so what you can do is take these beats that you already know and you're comfortable with and just add maybe where you'd play the of 4 or maybe 2 and instead of going, what if we put the and here? Play it enough, and it's going to be infectious, and you won't forget it.
I love those ideas. I think the cool thing that I'm taking away right now, too, is I remember when I was in the studio recording old albums, I would always rely on the sound engineers to create the different sounds. I would be like, well, let me just play this, and then you can make it sound like it's in like an old warehouse or something like that.
Yeah,
and I would rely on them to put in the effects and to get the plugins and all that. But you're doing all this stuff yourself. And the cool thing about doing that is that when you go to a live situation, you're not like, okay, well, this is my drum set, guys. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Now you're able to bring those sounds there and create those hooks live on the fly.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great point, actually, is that we are creating this. We're not just allowing, which I love my engineers, I love my producers, bless them, because if you, they make your job lovely and amazing or not, right? Yeah. So we want to be working together and be on their side. But it's really unique to say, man, how can I make a fade in or a fade out or kind of a delay type of thing? How can I make it sound like this is a sampled hip-hop beat, but it's really you doing it? Because if you can do that, again, going back to being kind of like a producer and writing songs and contributing to the music, right? Your artistic endeavors and what you do, contributing to the music, it works great in the studio, it works great for writing, but most importantly, you're able to do it live.
Yes.
And if you have to sample yourself, and use some type of sampling module, it's your samples. Yeah. It's your ideas. It's you smacking 12 empty beer bottles together for one sound, or taking a trash can lid and smacking it against a wall. That's you. That's your ideas. And that opens up a whole new can of worms for all of you out there that are entrepreneurs in the music business, because you can start creating your own loops and your own samples, sound banks, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
so this opens up a whole new world for you. And it's not a technical thing. This isn't insane. We're not doing 11/16 over 9/8 with.
Well, it's accessible to even beginners.
Anyone.
That's the cool thing. And we've been talking about creativity. We had a creativity workshop at the VIP week here and all that. And it's something that you guys, any one of you drummers out there can do. Like, we went literally to Walmart, and for less than $20, we got a bunch of little dog toys, a little Disney Princess Belle for a bike, and then we went upstairs. It's legit. That's like
This is legit. This is my new signature product. Actually, this is ours because we discovered it together.
It'll be on his next album.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. I'm currently starting to be working on like a percussion album.
No doubt.
This
Cool,
just
man.
sounds, you know, as if it's a dance record, so to speak, but it's all from real live drums or humans or walls and that type of stuff. Like anything that I can actually play. Nothing sampled, nothing manipulated, unless it's manipulated by a human.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a unique thing to do. And again, like another place, I remember one day, I'm really into fishing and especially fly fishing, and I had this book and they said, hey, if you really want to get into tying flies, you should go to these arts and crafts stores. Your mind will be blown and how inexpensive everything you need to tie your own flies will be. So I thought, hey, I'll take a look, and I walk in, and all of a sudden I see seashells and bells and jingles and plates and beads everywhere. And I immediately, before I knew it, I forgot why I was there, and I was filling up this basket with just stuff for drums. And I started making bracelets and anklets and necklaces and things to hang off my drums. And before I knew it, I dropped like $30, and I still have all this stuff, all kinds of wires and things. And it was just by going to arts and crafts store and walking through, and I saw all these different things, things you can cut out, pieces of paper and plastic to cut out to layer over your drums and all this stuff. I use Dream every time we're out doing clinic tours. I always use their bags over drums because they sound great and they give a nice muffle or like a lo-fi sound.
Yeah.
So when you get into this headspace, again, it's just by experimenting and having fun. And it starts to spark your creativity, build your own individual sound and expression, but you also can just start putting all this stuff in your sound bank.
Yeah.
And someone will say, man, I really need this blah, 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 blah. And you go, I know exactly what I need to do. I need a snorkel, an avocado, and some duct tape, and we will have that sound for you, right?
Yeah,
and that's how it
yeah,
is. And that's where you should be, because again, this isn't a technical thing or about how you spend 12 hours a day working on double pedal chops, which is great, but you can just sit around it and dream. You can think about stuff. You can listen to any recording and go, how could I make that sound?
Yeah.
You know, how could you do like a, let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can, because that reminds me of like Paul Revere from Beastie Boys. Now, here's a little story I got to tell about three bad brothers, you know, right? That's awful. I should not be doing that. But Beastie Boys are a huge influence by me. If you don't know them, check them out. But thinking about like reverse sounds and vroom, 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 we can do that right here.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do in the studio is, because I want the beat to be clean and sound nice, then I'll go maybe to the fills, depending on the music I'm doing. And if I want to do a reverse effect, I'll go to the floor tom and do it as a percussive part. So even if you're just starting, you can lay these things down, record them, and then start messing around.
I love that.
You know?
Very cool. We also went to the kitchen and grabbed some stuff.
Yeah, we have.
Pots and pans.
I really like the whisk because it gives that. Even the after effect off of it was cool. Well, we have a spoon over here. See if we can. Right? What else do we have over here? We have another little spinning doodad thing right here.
Yeah, man.
It's endless, and we have all this stuff around us.
Try different sounds. Try stuff that isn't on your kit. Listen to hooks that you already listened to and can sing and you can recognize in other songs.
Yep.
try adding, like you said, just try orchestrating something different on your groove to give it some sort of hook instead of just playing the role of backing track or backing your other musicians.
Yep.
Try to be more creative and musical with them. Join in on the writing process. All these are things that I'm taking away from this right now.
Absolutely, yeah. It all coincides. They all work together because, I mean, the biggest thing I'm going to preach to any of the drummers and percussionists out there is, like, don't be left behind.
Yeah.
You know, like, get into writing. Don't think that you can't write.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, what do they want first? They want a beat.
Yeah.
They want that beat, you know? And the moment they have a beat, they go, blah, da-chicka, blah, da-dum, chaka-dum, blah, da-chicka, blah, da-dum, chicka-da-dum, blah, right?
Yeah.
We are the beat makers. So let's utilize that stuff and let's push forward so we're not left behind so we can write.
Now, the last couple of days we've been hanging out, you've been showing me some really cool music that I can hear this kind of concept in, just different sounds that aren't just a drum set that I'm used to hearing. Do you want to maybe show or tell the audience some of the ideas or some maybe artists that they can go and check out?
I would say probably a good friend of mine, Dennis, back at home, turned me on to this dude named Eskimo. Eskmo.
Yes.
He's a DJ producer, and I showed you the track Cloud Light.
What is it called?
Cloud Light.
Crazy song.
It's amazing. The video is far out there, it's beautifully produced, and it takes you on this journey, but the music has like sounds of bubbles in it, and instead of just thinking of layering the claps on 2 and 4, which is really, really common, there's all these layers and tickles and trickles that lead up to 2 and 4 and then fade off. So it's like, the only way I could say it is it's like a shooting star into 2 and then out. And it's the most amazing thing. And it sounds like a string is being pulled and kind of hit like it's gonna break. And it leads into hitting on 2 and 4. And just look up Cloud Light and listen to it on repeat a few times. And you're gonna hear so many textures that we're all more than capable to do.
It was really cool hearing something different, but still a beat.
Oh yeah.
And you can hear there's no, like, it's not a drum set there, but it's still a groove, and it's really cool stuff.
Oh, it's amazing. And it's like, a lot of us get caught up like, man, I just play drum kit. But it's like, you can rate some super cool beats by kicking a cardboard box and popping a bag of chips.
Yeah.
You know, like, you want to start thinking that way because that's how you're going to get unique sounds. That's how you're going to create your hook. It's how it's going to create your vibe, where people will be like, man, I know how Dave like comes up with beats.
Yeah, man.
They're so unique. I have to have him.
Yeah.
I can't get anyone else. And it happens. Like, I get calls for that type of stuff because people go, Scotty, you're a nut job, but dude,
well,
you pull through.
We called you here because it's like, who can play a beat with a squeaky pig and a bell and all this stuff. But if you guys like this stuff, if you like these ideas, you got to subscribe to Scott's Instagram. It's at Scott Pellegrom, because he posts little clips all the time, and they're great just to check out, hey, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to try something like that. So follow him on Instagram. And also, if you like this too, we have a whole course, actually 2 courses now with Scott, and a whole live lesson and a couple other lessons, and a lot of them are in creativity. One of them is called Out of the Box Drumming, which you can see on YouTube if you want to find that one. But he's got a Getting Creative Behind the Kit lesson where he talks about exploring different sounds and all that for your creative sense as well. And you can just go to drumeo.com and check those out there. But let's get to some questions. We're wrapping up here. We got about 10 minutes left.
Oh no, it's too fast.
Can
we have
more
another
say?
hour?
Could we have another hour?
Please?
Yes. Maybe another day. We'll have to bring you back, man.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to call this lesson out of the box drumming part 2, because the one you did last year, it's very creative, and this one is just on another level of that. But do you have anything else to add?
I want to make sure that everyone out there, one, Drumeo is phenomenal. And you're lucky and fortunate. We are all lucky to be a part of it and to subscribe to it and be members and whatnot. But don't forget that we're doing this for you. So we want to hear your feedback on what you like, what you didn't like. I want you to go ahead and start posting videos. You know, when you check out my Instagram, you'll see me playing on skateboards and using a electronic toothbrush or whatever. I want you to steal those ideas, and I want to see what you come up with. And I want you to tag us. Tag Drumeo, tag me, Scott Pellegrom, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is. Because this is our new thing that we're doing, right? So I want to make sure that you guys steal it, run with it, have fun, because this is just for me to give out a couple ideas for you to take it to the next level.
And I'm sure they'll give us ideas as well.
Exactly, that's what I want. I want to steal your stuff.
We're at Drumeo Official for our Instagram, and Scott Pellegrom, and please tag us in there, hashtag us, add us, whatever you want it to do. But would love to see your ideas, and that breeds creativity. And we're a huge family of drummers, not just in drumming, but just worldwide. Drummers are a different breed, man. Like we're all, as soon as you meet someone, they always want to share. It's not like a guitarist where they'll hide, I'm not showing you my lick or have my pedal settings. We're all about sharing, right? So
this morning, I just have to say this. I walk in and we're all there getting ready for breakfast, having our coffee, and it's what, 9 o'clock in the morning or so, or 8-ish or something like that. And I took video because in a beautiful way, it was incredibly loud. All of us were talking, and it was about drums and drummers and music and gear and traveling and how excited they are. And it was like this roar of people. And it's like a total of maybe 20 people in the room, but there's like 13 VIPers and some instructors, and it was just insane because it wasn't annoying, it was inspiring that everybody at that time in the morning, before their coffee, before their breakfast, were just jacked up.
Sharing ideas and all that.
And it's like the number one word that we keep hearing over is the tribe.
Yeah.
We are a tribe, the drumming tribe, and we get along, and it's amazing. So don't forget that.
Love it, man. Couldn't agree more. Let's start over here with our VIP members. You just watched something very cool. Do you have any questions or thoughts or feedback for us and Scott?
For me, I think it's really creative, and I want to take a lot of this back because I'm an okay drummer, but with using doggy toys, squeaky toys, everything else, I think that's incredible.
Awesome. That's
Very cool.
That's what I'm wishing. That's great.
Yeah. Tuna, what about you, man?
I would like see if you could demonstrate for us how to do a delay effect, like you were talking about.
Delay?
Yeah.
Well, we have like our delay and echo, but really what it is, we could get really in depth to it, but I remember hearing Everything She Do Is Magic by the Police, and it starts like, but it was actually delayed. But I didn't know that at the time when I was growing up. I thought that's how you played it, right?
Just imitate it.
So I tried to imitate it. But again, when we think about the range that we have from the drumstick, right? Like high to low might be like going from fast to slow, and then like that can be speeding up or slowing down. And then here I just feel like another drummer that does this stuff beautifully is Adam Deitch of Lettuce and Break Science, and I got turned on to him through the Uber Jam and Up All Night records. That's someone you have to check out because he's really good with fading in, fading out, echoes, delays, stop, stalls, all this stuff. It's really amazing. So that's someone I'd tell you to really check out. But really, you can just play in time, but just go bop, 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 right? And if you want to get really crazy, you can start, sha, da, you can really get far out there with it too, depending on what you're imagining the sound is bouncing off of.
Totally, man. Brian.
Well, I've been blessed to be able to hang out with Scott for the last couple of days, so he's actually answered my questions already. But I do have one question. Can I have that pig? That thing is cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to fight my dog for it after this.
Yeah. McGinnis is at home. He's going to be stoked to see all this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Pretty cool. Hey, under $20, you guys can go and just try and find a couple new things. We're actually trying to find a personal little hand or shoulder massager so we can do buzz rolls on there. But
yeah, because I have something on Instagram where I do kind of like a dubstep-esque thing where if you have a massager buzzing on the snare, you can turn the snare on and off. So it goes, so you can change the pitch just by it buzzing, and you can still play with your hand here and change everything from the snares on and snares off. This type of stuff just gets you to think differently.
Big time.
And it's a lot of fun to do. It's not stressful.
Let's go to some questions from the members here. Hurl Drum says, hey, thank you for the lessons and your other lessons this week. A lot of people ask this about beginners, but what do you think is the biggest mistake that an advanced player makes? That is a really cool question.
Holy cow, a lot. You know, like advanced players, depending on, and I'm going to say personality first, a lot of people get cocky or they get an ego. Or they think that they're really good or that no one's better or they can be better than someone else type of thing.
Yeah.
That's your first mistake. Not having the proper attitude is the second mistake right away. Not because you think you're good, you know, that no one's going to fire you and you're always going to be hired. That's a huge mistake right there. So attitude is the number one thing. If you have a good attitude, you're a positive person, easy to work with, do your homework, et cetera, et cetera. That's one of the things you have to do. On top of it, a lot of advanced players overthink things and overplay quite a bit because they say, hey, yeah, it's just an easy, you know, slow ballad. And they're immediately like, I want to put as many notes as I can in there. And I've done that before, you know, like when I was like 16 to 19 or so and I was working out, there was definitely times I got fired because I was trying to put in all these insane fusion licks and like a boom, cha doom doom, cha getting, get doing, you know. And they were like, what are you doing?
You're out.
Yeah, you're gone, buddy, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like really focus on the music and making sure that you have a good time, you know your material, and that you're easy to work with. That'll be a huge thing. It's something that takes some people a lifetime to learn.
Yeah, sometimes the hardest notes to play are the rests.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Here's a question from Aaron L. Says, Scott, my question is regarding the dream crop circle. I have one, but every time I've used it out of my snare or the floor tom, it hops off the drum, and I'm not sure what to do to keep it on my drum. Any tips or advice?
That's crazy. That can happen. It depends on how hard you're hitting, though, and what angles you're hitting at. Because, I mean, that instrument isn't necessarily meant for bashing. And I know if there's times that whenever I hit it hard, it will pop off. You know, if you want a simple solution, is you can just have like a little bit of like gaff tape or duct tape. That's just a little bit that'll stick it to the rim. You can fold it over so it'll stay. That's something that can really help. You could use some of like the clamp paper clips just on the side to just kind of hold it so it won't flip back up, right? So it'll just create like a little barrier so it won't move. But you really want to think about how you're hitting it. Because the idea about it is that it's already loud. It's like a ribbon crasher, right? And the whole idea behind it when we came out with it, how many years ago, is that you're supposed to be able to move it all over the drum kit, put it on your cymbals, hang it off, you know, the wing nuts, the arms, off the legs of the floor tom. You're supposed to be able to put it everywhere. That was the purpose behind it. So you need to work on your touch when you're hitting it.
Makes
you know,
sense.
whether that helps you or not, or you like that answer or not, but you know, it's a great instrument, and it definitely will change kind of your palette of sound that you have. But either give it a little tape, some paper clips to hold it down, or just really work on your touch.
Cool. We'll leave it there because it's almost 5 o'clock.
Oh, man.
2 minutes.
I don't want to go. I don't want to leave.
I know, especially because we've just got everything all set up for you too.
I know, we're just getting going too. I'm
just
ready.
Starting. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. But for all you guys watching, thanks. I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope you guys were inspired and motivated. Follow Scott at Scott Pellegrom for Instagram and find him on Facebook and all those other social platforms. If you guys like us, Drumeo, you can follow Drumeo at Drumeo Official. Here, I'm stumbling on my words here.
There's so many.
Drumeo Official is where we are at for Instagram, and find us on drumeo.com. Sign up if you can. And thank you for hanging out with us, VIP members.
Yeah.
Great.
Sit in.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys always see the lesson from the other side. Now you get to see what we get to see, which is not much. A bunch of lights,
Yeah.
a bunch of scrubs in the back there, Taylor and Kyle. I'm just joking. No, they're awesome. Scott, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem,
you.
buddy. You're always welcome here. Do you want to play us out with a solo of some sorts?
Maybe. Let's see what we have going on here. What else should we use?
Well, what else do we, I think we've used almost everything here.
We've
got
used
a
just about
we
everything.
got a water jug down here. All right, I'll let you take it away. I'll see you guys all later. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.